Hey Flosstube. Sorry it's been a while. I feel like it's been like a month since I've talked to you. It probably has been a month. Um, I have had just a crazy busy month of adventures and sickness and stitching. So I have a few things to share with you all. Um, First off, I am going to tell you I am on the tail end of COVID. Like, I'm not contagious anymore, but you can probably hear it in my voice. You can probably see it a little bit in my face. I only lost taste for a couple of days, but I have had like that head cold like symptom and a little bit of body aches, night sweats, all that fun jazz that comes with COVID. Um, so I'm dealing with that. Please forgive me if I have to stop and take a sip of water. I also have the tea kettle going in the background, which you might be hearing. I'm going to make myself some tea at some point because talking is definitely going to exhaust my voice. Um, First, I'm going to tell you about my stitching, about my finishes, about any new acquisitions I have. And then at the end, I'll do like a little life update because this isn't just cross stitching, this is cross stitching and adventures, right? So I'll kind of share with you some of the things that I've been doing and enjoying over the last month. So I think I'll start off with finishes because I've had two since I last visited with you. So I'm going to reach. I forget that I'm using the FaceTime camera, and when you use FaceTime right now, there's a setting that you can do like visual cues to set off effects. Like if you do like hearts like this, you get hearts going out. If you do this, you get balloons. I think two thumbs up is like fireworks. So it's just kind of crazy. I discovered that during a teletherapy session the other day. Okay, my project roll is just right behind you, so I'm just going to reach a little bit. This project roll is from Bella Rose Needleworks. Jeanette, she's part of Garnet Rose Stitchers, and she's just a lovely human and makes very, very like wonderful tote bags and project rolls. She was at Stitch West last time that I was there. I think she might also sell online. So check her out there. And this project roll, I got the big one, so I can fit like a ton of stuff in here. I actually have three finishes in here, but I only finished two since I saw you last. Okay, I finished Garden Cat, my Birds of a Feather whip. This was my own conversion off the chart. So I used like a combination of some DMC, some silks, some overdyed cottons. This fabric is Fiber on a Whim, 32 count eggshell. It's not ironed, but it is a little flatter than when it came out of my Nerd Hoop because it's been in that project roll. So another perk of having a project roll. Let's see here. The bits in the fur here were an Almond M&M silk called Gargoyle that came in a seasonal box. I have to say, I love stitching with Ymir silks. They are just so wonderfully variegated. They're so soft. They stretch way farther than you think they're going to. And I have tight tension as a stitcher, so that's probably on me too. But man, those little tiny nuggets, they go a long time. So that's a Ymir silk. The darker is Charcoal from Weeks. This is Peony from Weeks. I can't remember all of the different ones, but this is, here, I'm going to bring it a little closer for you. This is Garden Cat. Let's see. Can you see it right? Yeah, there we go. There's that, peep that little butthole. I love it so much. I am probably going to frame this, hang it up in my house somewhere. I think I mentioned the last time I talked about this, but I went with the same type of charted fur in the pattern because my cat Elsa has similar coloring in her face and on parts of her body, like along her tail. So it's kind of like a little homage to Elsa. I'm going to just put this behind me. And then I'll show you my other finish. This was a start and a finish, actually. Since I last saw you, I went to Shepherd's Bush in Utah, and bought a couple of things there. And one of the things that I purchased was the 2023 Collector's Heart from Heart and Hand. I also purchased the 2024 Collector's Heart, but I haven't started that one yet. This floss was sold, I think, as part of it. It was a Cottage Garden floss called Leatherbound. And oh my word, I just love it. It's mostly that variegated red, but right here you can kind of see there are just little tiny peeps of like a golden color occasionally on the floss. And oh, it just added this really fun dimension to it. I'm not really sure what the fabric is. Shepherd's Bush sold it as a kit, so it might be the called for. But there's this. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. I couldn't put this down. I'm not usually a monogamous stitcher, but I stitched on this from start to finish. And it didn't take me very long, just a few days. And it was kind of like a fun little Valentine's stitch. It came with this little button. And I think there's also a button on the 2024 Collector's Heart too. But that one's more in pinks and reds. I am going to pause you because I heard the tea kettle go off. Oh, this is Jamie, my very handsome little orange cat. I heard the tea kettle go off, so I'm going to go make some tea. Okay, I'm back. Made some tea. This is my Muse mug. And yes, I'm going to be sipping on that as we go through. I thought I might as well show you the other finish that's in this project roll, because I don't think I've shown this to you in my finish parade. But this was one I just started and finished over the course of a couple of days last summer. This is Thoughts on Halloween, or Thoughts of Halloween. I can't exactly remember the title, but in there it says, Moon, take thy flight. This is a Shepherd's Bush kit. Well, it wasn't a kit. Let's see. I bought the fabric with the pattern there, and I bought the button because the button is what sold me on this one. And then I think I just kitted it from stash, actually. I had most of those weeks. I think it was kitted mostly in weeks. I did change this color. It was supposed to be lily pad, and I didn't have any of that, and so I switched it to moss, and I actually really like how that looks. So yeah, that's Thoughts on Halloween. I don't know how I'm going to finish it. Probably like a little pillow or something. Put it out at Halloween time. I love Shepherd's Bush patterns. They're so fun. Okay, now I'm going to kind of shift gears to WIPS, and I'll show you what I've been working on. Surprisingly, this one surprised me. This is probably going to surprise a few of you. Well, it surprised Jordan when I told her that I had pulled this one out. Oh, what is this? Oh, it's the fabric. Okay. This is Botanical Garden. I haven't stitched on this in years, but for some reason the other day I was like, you know what? I feel like stitching on this. It was like a Mira Monday, and I pulled this one out. This is stitched on Kiwi, which is Color and Cotton's Lugana from a couple years ago in their club. And it doesn't look a whole lot different from the last time I showed this to you, but I did stitch her hand here. I filled in a little bit of the flowers, and I had stitched a whole bunch more down here. You can kind of see some red on the fabric there, actually, from the floss where I frogged. I messed up, so I had to frog quite a bit. Part of the reason that I messed up is that there is a chart correction right here, and I knew that. So I went in and I did the chart correction, and then somewhere between switching from the chart corrections little segment back to the regular chart that I have, I miscounted and I was over 1 on my counting. And I sat and stared at it for a long time and thought, maybe I can fudge it. No, I couldn't fudge it. And I knew it would throw off the whole rest of the pattern. So I just decided to frog. And then she went in timeout. Oh, here, I'm gonna grab that tag so I don't lose track of what fabric it's on. Then she went in timeout, and she only got like a day of stitching because I was upset that I had to frog. There's the chart. My other Mira that I've been working on has been the Muse, and I think I've made a decent amount of progress on this since I last showed you. But this is one of the newest Mirabilias. The new one just came out Wednesday. The Amethyst Fairy, which people have been waiting on forever. She started that design series like 20 years ago. So I'm glad that one's finally done. I probably won't stitch it, but I love this one. This one is stitched on a PTP Opalescent Demoiselle. And I think the last time that I showed this to you, I really only had the woman in the center done. Well, not done, but that section. And now I have this little flower pillar finished up too. And most of those in there are water lilies. So I very strategically and carefully stitched that so that they would kind of play off of each other symmetrically. So I would take, a section of a water lily and stitch out this way, and then take that same section on the next part of floss and stitch out that way, so that it would kind of look a little even. And I love, love, love those colors. So fun. You can probably hear my black cat growling behind us. He's growling at his brother. They're fighting. I did a little bit in the dress down below, and more to go. And I finished out her hand down there, but I have not backstitched this part of her body, so she looks a little imbalanced right now. But I'm loving this one. I probably will move more down into her dress as I pick this up again and do some more down there before I go over and do the other flower pillar. I loved stitching that, and so I kind of want to save it for later when I get into the monotony of her dress and need something to break it up. Okay, the next WIP that I'm going to show you is another new start. This is one that I'm stitching with Cheryl from Garnet Rose Stitchers. She messaged me after my last Flosstube and was like, hey, I love your French kitchen one. I've been meaning to start that. Do you want to do a Sal? And I was like, absolutely, because I needed to get more of them stitched up. So I think she is stitching the box that says Cuisine Francais, and I decided to start Apples and Sage because I had it kitted already. And so this is what it's going to look like when it's finished. I already have this wood clipboard that right now has strawberries and mint on it, but I will switch out these pieces seasonally once I have them all stitched. So it sits in my kitchen, and I'm excited to have another one worked on and hopefully finished up this year. I am stitching it on the same fabric that I did strawberries and mint on, which is 32 count Vintage Country Mocha. I'm stitching it with the called for flosses, which are weeks. All of them are called for in weeks. And this is my start on it. So I made a pretty good start for just a couple of days working on it. I worked on it the day that we started, which was Friday or Saturday. I can't remember, a couple weeks ago. And then I actually stitched on this on like a Valentines Day stitch day that I had with Jordan, Tattooed Stitcher. She came over last Saturday, and we had just like a plethora of snacks. We had tea, we watched Flosstube, and we just like stayed in our comfy cozies. We ordered in, did we get Indian food that day? I can't remember. Oh no, we got chicken, I think. I can't remember, but we ordered in food, and it was just awesome. It was such a fun day. And this is what I stitched on that day. She worked on her autumn at Hawker and Hollow and like finished filling in a whole house. Like, she's so fast. I still need to do the back stitching on these pictures. There's back stitching here in these branches. And then I think there's a bit of back stitching around this little center medallion and into these branches. So I'll fill that in the next time I pick this up, and then I'll move it up in the Q-snap. This needle minder is one of the wood painted ones from Clay by Kim, and Jordan got this one for me for Christmas. So that's Apples and Sage. If you want to join our Sal, we would love to have you. The hashtag that we're using is the French Kitchen Sal. There are 5 different patterns in that series that you can work on with us. It's a lot of fun, and they stitch up really fast. So if you're looking for like a really rewarding small, something that will kind of just reinvigorate your stitchy bug, pull out the French Kitchen ones. They're awesome. It was a collab between Hands On Design and House Stitchworks from a few years ago. They're not too old. I think they're still produced. Like, you should be able to access them just fine. One that is not widely available, I'm just going to preface this as an out of print pattern, but I don't know if it's going to be one of those Blackbirds that gets reproduced, because I know they're starting to do that more. But this was a spontaneous start the other day. I've had this pattern in my collection for a few years now, and I just needed something fresh, something new to stitch on. After I finished Garden Cat, I wasn't quite ready to stop stitching plants. So I pulled out Moon Garden by Blackbird Designs. This was part of the Loose Feather series. I don't want to get you that glare. There we go. I love that frame. Of course, you can't find it anywhere. I can't find it anywhere. If somebody knows where to source that, let me know, because man, I love it. I didn't have any of the gentle arts that were called for in that pattern, but I didn't let that discourage me, because I'm really trying to stitch from my stash as much as possible this year. I still am buying a few things like that Heart and Hand Valentine, and I picked up a couple of patterns the last time I was at Shepherd's Bush. Like, I know it's inevitable that I'm going to spend some money, but I'm trying to kind of work from what I have. And so with this one, I picked out a couple of my Ymir silks, which are heavily variegated, so it gives a little bit of a different look to this design. I think I'm also using, let's see here, let me pull this out so I can tell you exactly. This Gentle Arts Summer Meadow. So this was for the birds and the lettering and the moon. I didn't have the called for, but it was kind of like a light yellowy, and so that's what I'm using instead. And then I'm also using Forbidden Fiber Co.'s Wildflower. I think this came in a black needle box. I don't know if it's widely distributed or not, but it's this pinky, purpley color. I love it so much. And then the rest of the silks that I'm using are Ymir's. So this one is, I bought them when they were the little nuggets. I think they're packaged differently now, but this is Ivy. And I'm using this in the leaves, but most of the green that you're gonna see in the design is, oh, here it is. It's all hidden underneath in my project bag. This one, which is Weeping Willow, and it's not looking as variegated in this camera as oh, there we go. There, we're getting some dimension to it. And then Wisteria, which is in the flowers, and this one is just so gorgeous. So it's got like pinky, white, a little bit of gray, purple. So pretty. Okay, so now that I've shown you all the floss, I should probably show you the design. Stitching this on a Weeks Gunmetal 32 count, and I have made a very nice start on it. I don't think it's going to take me much more to finish it up. So, you know, I'm using that Weeping Willow floss in the plant here, and then I did the Ivy here. It originally called for like an avocado-y green, and when I pulled a close approximation out for that, it just blended in because of the variegation in the floss here. So I pulled out that bluey green in the Ivy, and I'm liking that a lot better. In the original pattern, the border here and some of the the letters are stitched in that lighter green, and I actually am contemplating going with the bluey green around it. One thing that I'm gonna do is stitch Moon Garden in the yellow, and then the initials of my family members in the yellow as well, because the term moon has a special significance to us. Please leave that alone, Reese. He's trying to play with my project roll. And then the rest of the flowers I might do in like this purple or this pinky. We'll see. Not the flowers, the letters. So I'm excited about finishing that one up. I love it. This is that needle minder that my friend Marcy got for me for Christmas. So I'm happy to be able to use it now. This isn't one that I worked on, but I realized I never showed you in my WIP parade. and I wanted to pull it out and show you now. No surprise, it's a Mira. This is Sleeping Beauty, and it's on Twilight Blue Witchelt. And I will probably pull her out this spring and work on her because I love all the flowers and the bright colors in her. She's not backstitched yet, but she will be someday. She is one of those old classic ones. I think she's like number 5 in the Mirabilia line. And oh, I love it. Love, love, love. But I thought, oh, I can't believe I didn't show people that in my WIP parade. Probably because it was in this playing with pronouns tote bag instead of a project bag. All right, I think that's all for the stitching that I wanted to show you. I'm going to talk about just one of my acquisitions. I mentioned I bought a couple of things at Shepherd's Bush. Like I bought Brenda Gervais' The Light of Winter and Stacy Nash Decking the Coop, and a couple of those like wintry patterns that came out, last year that I just hadn't picked up yet. And then I also got a Prairie Moon Christmas stocking and a couple of flosses and pieces of fabrics. But the thing that I wanted to show you guys was my new Velky. I got a mini and I love it. This was a kind of a spur of the moment purchase. I follow Hobby House Needleworks on Facebook, and they posted one morning. I got up around like 6, and they had posted that they had one in stock. I think they're one of the US distributors for Velky, and if you don't get through a distributor, you have to wait like a year to have it shipped directly to you. And I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna buy it because I've been wanting a more portable stand for cross stitch retreats. I've been using my Lowry, which means I have to disassemble it and haul it there in like a bag or a wagon and reassemble it. I'd rather just have something I can stick in my bag. And so this has been really fun. I'm really enjoying it. I love being able to just turn this to access the back of my fabric. And it has just been super nice. I do wish that it was just maybe a little bit taller because sometimes it sits just a little too low when I'm sitting on the couch. Like I just pop it on top of me and I stitch from there. If I was stitching at a table, which is how it's designed, it would be totally fine. So I think what I'm gonna do is just buy like one of those lap trays for when I'm stitching on the couch, and that'll pop it up a little bit high enough, or a little bit higher, hopefully high enough for me. And I love that one. So if you're looking for a Velky, your best bet is to just order one directly, but it will take a while. That way you can pick the color that you want, or watch Hobby House and see if they get some more in. Hey, I had to stop and cough and drink some tea, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about my adventures. Since we talked, I've had a lot of stuff going on. One of my old friends, Britt, came to visit. She lives in New Mexico, and so the weekend that she came, we had just kind of a nice girls' weekend with some of the ladies that were all friends when she lived here. So we spent some time downtown. We went to the Banff Film Festival for one night at our local theater downtown. We went up to Driggs, Idaho, and some of the ladies went skiing, and one of the other ladies and I spent some time at like the cabin and we're cozy. Actually, there were 2 other ladies that were there. And then we went out to dinner. It was really just a very nice weekend at catching up with friends. I think I have a couple of pictures. If so, I'm going to put them here so that you can kind of see things that are going on in my life. In fact, maybe I'll adjust our camera so that I have some space here. In the meantime, you can look at one of my art hangings right there. Let's see here. A couple weeks ago, I went hiking with some friends to Goldbug in Salmon, and that is a hot spring that you might have seen on Instagram. I feel like it's pretty Instagram famous, but it's a wonderful hike to do in the wintertime because so many people use it that the snow gets kind of trampled down, and it's only 2 miles from start to end. So it's really not too tricky of a hike. It goes uphill a little bit at the end into the canyon, And that part in years past has been very slick because so many people use that trail. And so typically we put traction on our feet. One year I had to use spikes to get up there. Like it was pretty intense. I slipped one year and like slid between my friend's legs hiking behind me. This year we didn't have that problem. We've had such a mild winter that most of the snow was really slushy and it wasn't icy. So once we got up high enough, it was just mud. It was just mud and trail. And we were able to hike in without any significant like slips and falls. We soaked for a few hours. It's just gorgeous up there. We didn't see too many people because we went on a Sunday and it had been really snowy the day before. So it was just a perfect day to go. I went with some of my adventuring crew. We've been on lots of different trips together over the years, and it was a perfect day. Let's see here. What else did I do? I had a Super Bowl party with some friends last weekend, and I wore a sweatshirt that had the NFL logo, and underneath it said Taylor's version. I do enjoy watching football, but I hardly ever do because I don't have cable. I don't know very many people that do, and most of the games are live on cable. So I don't really watch football, but I enjoyed going to that party. We had a lot of good food. We had some little smokies. We had cookies and like a smoked queso, and it was so much fun. What else? Oh, okay. I had COVID. I'm out of that quarantine period. Thankfully, everything mostly cleared up before this weekend. So I was able to go to the Red Dress concert, which is a collaboration between our local hospital and our local symphony. And every year they do this annual event called the Red Dress Concert where they talk about and raise awareness for heart disease in women. And I think some of the funds get donated to either research or awareness. I don't know all of the details, but the fun part about this event is that everybody wears red gowns or, red ties if they're men, or, what everybody kind of just gets dressed up for it. And so I had been looking for a while for a red dress. I looked at various thrift stores. I looked at a local department store, and I just was not finding anything that worked. And I didn't want to wear the red dress that I'd worn like 5 or 6 years ago. And so I was looking hard, and finally I found like somebody's old bridesmaid's dress at one of our local thrift stores, and it worked perfect. So I went a little bit more formal than informal this time. I had some opera gloves that I had worn to a 20s gala 4 years ago and paired that with it, and I just had a blast. My friends and I started out the evening at a local speakeasy, and we had some drinks and some food and went over to the symphony. And the symphony this year had like a cirque theme to it. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, but so they had some acrobatic performers that were on silks and hoops and all sorts of different things. They had jugglers, and they would come out and perform while the symphony was playing different things. And it was really, really fun. Our symphony is so talented. I'm always just blown away that here in Idaho Falls, which is not known for being a hub or a center of culture and art, we have some very, very talented people in our community, and I had a blast. It was just a perfect evening. So that's kind of what I've been up to. I don't do a lot of like book talk or reading, but I finished House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas in anticipation of House of Flame and Shadow. And the only reason that I finished that book is because they were teasing Throne of Glass content in House of Flame and Shadow. And I am a Throne of Glass girly. I've been reading those books since they were coming out. Like, I had to wait years and years between books. And that is by far my favorite series of hers. So that's how you lure me back into Crescent City, which was a series that I'd given up on. I didn't really enjoy it. There were memorable parts of the first book that I was like, okay, finally we're getting good. But most of it I just didn't care for. And I can't say that House of Sky and Breath got any better. I remember talking with Carla, Rolodex Stitcher at StitchCon a couple years ago because it had just come out. And she was like, you've got to finish it. Can I say it's good? But you got to finish it because there's something at the end. And I guess I'll put a little trigger warning here for spoilers. So hopefully you've stopped listening if you don't want to hear anything about this. But there was crossover content with the ACOTAR series at the end of that one. And so I thought, okay, I'll read the third one because they're going to be hinting at Throne of Glass. There's going to be some ACOTAR content. And I was just sorely disappointed. I don't like Crescent City. All of the characters make horrible decisions and somehow it works out for them, but it's just really unbelievable to me. We spent a lot of the time wandering around in a cave, and there were only really a couple of ACOTAR characters that crossed over with that. Thankfully one of them was Nesta because I love her character. I find Reese and Feyre just unreadable at this point, mostly Reese. Which is really unfortunate because I used to love that character. I named one of my cats after that character. But he's just awful now. And if anybody wants to talk ACOTAR or Throne of Glass or Crescent City with me, I would love that. Like, please reach out. It's always fun to talk about that universe. So anyway, that is kind of what I've been up to. I know I've gotten a little bit rambly here at the end, but hopefully you enjoyed hearing a little bit about the adventures that I've been up to and seeing my stitching. I will try to come back a little sooner next time. Like I said, I've just been so busy, got sick. It's been hard to film a Flosstube, but anyway, one last thing I want to say is thank you so much to everybody that has given me a really sweet shout out. Globetrotting Stitcher Amy shouted me out on her Flosstube, and it was just really nice. Her and Gary are just such wonderful people, and I'm happy to see some of you here from that shout out. That was really lovely. I know that Jordan has shouted me out on her Flosstube, and I really appreciate that. And I think I'm missing a few of you, but Sarah, Memphis Sarah E. She gave me a really lovely shout out too. I just love her. I met her at StitchCon and hung out with her and Zan and a couple other people in the Stitchy Room and at the late night Stitchy Room, and we just had a great time. And her Flosstubes are so fun to watch. She does so much stitching and finishing, and so I feel like if you watch her Flosstube, you're going to get to see a lot of wonderful eclectic stitching content. So definitely check her out. Who have I been watching? I watch Bernadette's burn stitches on Flosstube. I've watched Amber, Rogue Mama Stitcher. I started watching Wolfie Stitches a little bit. Caught up on some Pam and Steph. Andrea's Cautionary Tales. Love watching her when she's around. So there's tons of different Flosstubers, and I'll try to be more specific in referencing those people as I go through my Flosstube and in shouting them out and giving you access to lots of new content. So anyway, thank you for watching. Have a wonderful stitchy day, and I'll chat with you soon.